Alright, we are back with another video. And today's JoJo What If, because it's a JoJo What If, we are talking about what would happen if Donatello versus, or Versace, depending on what you want to call him, obtained heaven. I call him Donatello, by the way. But in this alternative universe, Donatello obtains heaven, since that was basically his main motivation in the entirety of Stone Ocean. Or at least his motivation until he realized that he wanted to be happy. So, what would happen if Donatello had succeeded in this goal of wanting to obtain heaven? Well, I'm going to do this video today. It was a request from a few months ago by Dr. Declean, I think was how you pronounce his name. I lost the comment, and not only that, but he's been dealing with a lot of drama lately of getting his channels deleted, and now he's trying to make alternative accounts because YouTube keeps deleting those accounts. I'm pretty sure one of them might have been deleted recently. If I'm not surprised if that would have been the case. But if he ever somehow gets to this video, just know that I was able to get to finally do this one. So, yeah. I hope you enjoy that video. Whether you watched or not, it's hard to say. But anyway, let's talk about this what if, because I don't think no one really wants to hear about that drama. But yeah, what if Donatello obtained heaven? Let's start the video now. So we gotta find a way for Donatello to somehow want to get, I mean, we already know why he wants heaven, but how he gets to it. We know his motivations and why he wants to obtain heaven. It's because his life sucks. I mean, at this point, he's homeless, his childhood sucked, everyone hates him, etc., etc. You know, typical Dio-like stuff, because he's Dio's son. And all of Dio's sons, with the exception of Giorno and kind of Rikiel, are generally not good people. So, in this alternative universe, we do end up getting Donatello obtaining heaven. Now, for this to work, I'm going to assume Donatello is able to keep on the memory disk, and obviously Jolene and Hermes probably still defeat him in their little fight thing, but the only difference in this alternative universe is that Donatello is just able to smuggle onto the memories a little bit longer, so Jolene or Hermes or anyone can't get those memories back. And while that's happening, we still get everything going the same, but Donatello is able to use that as an excuse to, I guess, get the memories in, even though he was driving the car. But let's say in this timeline, maybe Jolene or Hermes has to drive the car. Maybe Donatello is put in a different position, so he's got it a way to use the memories on himself, so he can see what Jotaro's memories are like and realize, I guess, how to obtain heaven to an extent. Now, the question is the green baby thing. I'm pretty sure you need the green baby, unless it's like one of those things where you got it, where if you have Joestar blood in you, you don't need the baby. But if we do have to go that route, I'm gonna assume for the sake of the plot, and this is kind of a weird excuse to get it, is in this timeline, let's say when Pucci goes to use Donatello and do the whole fake weather and fake him thing to kill Weather Report off, and then get Donatello killed off by the others. Let's say for the sake of the plot that Donatello makes a fake version of himself with Underworld. He digs himself up from the past, is able to go from behind, and when Pucci thinks he got the real Donatello, he's got a fake. Donatello is 2 steps ahead of Pucci, maybe something parallel to when Pucci went to kill Jotaro. He's like, I'm 2 steps ahead or something. You know, kind of like how Jotaro was. Kind of like how Pucci was with Jotaro. Donatello can do the same thing there, whereas like, you are 2 steps too late, Father Pucci, and then just wounds him with Underworld from behind. After that, Donatello can use Underworld, and let's say for the sake of the plot, he's able to dig the green baby out of Pucci. Kind of a weird excuse, but let's say he does it. And while this is happening, I'm pretty sure Pucci's either already killed Weather Report, or Pucci has not killed Weather Report yet, but Donatello realizes that he needs to undo the effects of the snails, because he's been transformed into a snail. If anything, he got it the worst out from everyone, including Anasui, Jolene, Emporio, and Hermes, so he decides to kill Pucci, and decides to kill Weather Report. I'm going to assume he kills Weather Report to at least make him more of a threat to the team. And then by that point, everyone realizes the effect of heavy weather's been undone, and they see Donatello stand tall, while Pucci and Weather Report are both dead. He gives this big speech about how his life has sucked, and now that he's finally obtained heaven, he's fused with the baby, he's been able to realize what Jotaro's memories are like, he can now obtain heaven. For the sake of the plot, let's say the memory disk is not with Donatello. Let's say after he does it, let's say Jolene's able to take it back successfully. Donatello runs away. Jolene's not able to get to him. We'll say Jolene, Anasui, and Hermes are too wounded to try and get him from Jolene and Hermes from the car crash, and Anasui from the Battle of Pucci. We get everything going the same. Pucci and Weather are both dead. While Jolene's relieved that Pucci's dead, she's still sad that Weather Report's dead. But then again, she's probably not too fearful about fighting Donatello. Since Hermes and Jolene have already bet Donatello before, Jolene is a little more confident going into this fight, in my opinion. Same with Hermes. Anasui's probably not really caring too much and really only wants to marry Jolene. That's probably what's on his mind, because he's a simp. And then the whole thing with Emporio, I guess his opinion on the whole thing would go the same. Obviously, they deliver the memories back to Jotaro, and everything kind of just resumes the same as it canonically did. After that point is where we go to Cape Canaveral, which will say we're still going, because Donatello does know that they got to go to Cape Canaveral, like how Pucci, because Pucci did tell Donatello that. So let's say for the sake of the plot, Donatello does go to Cape Canaveral. In this alternative universe, Donatello is at Cape Canaveral like how Pucci was originally. Time for him to try to obtain heaven, and let's say he gets Sea Moon, or at least some type of gravity-like stand. In this fight between Donatello with a gravity-obtained stand versus Jolene and Anasui and Emporio, Hermes is still taken out of the fight, in my opinion. How does this fight go? Well, I'm pretty sure it's just going to have Sea Moon's powers. It may have some Underworld-like abilities, but then again, seeing how Sea Moon had really nothing regarding Whitesnake style, I doubt this new version of Underworld that is a gravity stand can, I guess, do his little, like, memory digging thing, because that was, like, basically Donatello's power, where if he digs up something, he digs up the past and brings it back to life. That was the stand, if I remember correctly. So, Donatello would still, I guess, have to find a new way to use this new gravity style to him, but I'm pretty sure he's smart enough to think of at least some kind of game plan on how he can use this stand effectively. Now, in this timeline, Jolene's probably going to get hurt. This leads to Anasui to try to fight Donatello off, but Donatello is going to be able to defeat Anasui. Before he can kill him, Jolene does the Mobius strip, as she canonically does, and we'll say Jotaro still comes in to save Jolene. Now, in this timeline, it's all up to Donatello to try and obtain heaven like how Pucci did. Now, for the sake of the plot, we're going to assume Donatello is able to obtain heaven. Now, as for how he obtains heaven, this one's a really tough one to write around, and what his heaven stand will be like is hard to say. Now, this could go a couple of ways. Could Donatello's stand be like Made in Heaven? Or is Donatello's heaven stand one of those things where it's like I guess to an extent, maybe it's like what the thing you desire the most could be like. Or maybe he can get something like the world over heaven. That, or to be honest, now that I think about it, the Donatello getting the world over heaven would actually kind of fit from a storytelling perspective when you think about it, since it would be from Underworld to the world over heaven. So now he's gone from being under the world to now being over heaven. It's being the world itself and now being over it, over heaven to an extent, which I guess kind of fits, I guess in naming wise, it's kind of ironic because it goes from being under to over. But mine is from my little nerd out moment here. Donatello is able to maybe obtain something. Not only that, but the entire point of the world over heaven is to rewrite all of fate itself. And if anything, it would fit with the character of Donatello. His entire motivation is that he's just feel like he deserved a happy life because fate gave him a crappy life. So in this timeline, it makes sense that he would get a stand maybe similar to that. That, or he could just obtain Made in Heaven. I think he'd get something similar to the world over heaven to an extent where he can rewrite all of fate itself, which I think would make the most logical sense for a character like Donatello. As for how a fight would go here, I think he would have a world over heaven like stand, but I don't know if he'd have the ability to stop time. If that's the case, it would be interesting to see to be honest, I like the idea of Jotaro versus the son of Dio. Jotaro can maybe bring up the fact that it's weird how he only found out about one son of Dio back in 2001 with Jarno, and this whole time Dio had more sons that another son he knew about, let alone more sons, because Jolene can maybe Jolene can tell him about Rikill, since she doesn't know about Ungolo, and the others didn't know about Ungolo. So maybe Jolene could tell him about how her and Hermes and Emporio also fought another Dio son named Rikill, but they were able to defeat him. And Hermes just randomly defeated him without giving him a chance to turn good. I still can't forgive Hermes for that. I hate you, Hermes. jokes aside, Jolene, not joking aside, I actually do hate Hermes, but mine's from that. Jolene is gonna be one of those things where it's like, yeah, Dio had more sons, and Jotaro's like, well, how did I never find out? If I found out, maybe this could have been stopped, but whatever, it is what it is. I gotta stop this guy now. Donatello, he does this whole speech about how the world's gonna finally give him his happiness he deserves as he can rewrite all of fate. To be honest, this fight would be pretty interesting, and I'm gonna say I don't really know how this fight can go out. Now, I'm not gonna say Donatello just pulls a Poochie and just resets the entire universe. It would be hard, and I don't really think it seems in character that he wanted to reset the entire universe. I think it'd be one of those things where maybe he can use Fates to, I guess, destroy the entire Joestar bloodline, which I don't think would make sense since Donatello doesn't really know the lineage. He doesn't know about Jonathan. It doesn't know about anything else, to be honest. He doesn't even know the entire Joestar bloodline. He only knows about Jotaro and Jolene, but even then he doesn't know about Jotaro's adventure or a majority of Jolene's story. All he knew is that she was in prison and fought a bunch of stand users beforehand. So, honestly, I don't really think Donatello wants to wipe out the entire Joestar bloodline. I think he'd have some kind of crazy fate manipulating power, though. Probably something where he can rewrite fate or something, but it would be hard to imagine how that fight would go out. I don't think he's going to reset the universe like Poochie did. If I were to say how a fight would go and who I would have live and die, probably have Jotaro die, because I like the irony of Jotaro dying to the son of Dio, and then Jolene having to defeat him. It'd feel pretty weird, though. But then again, maybe there's some kind of shenanigans to give Jolene the win. Maybe Jotaro uses his time stop to weaken Donatello down to a point where he can help Jolene out in those final moments, and it gives Jolene a good enough advantage to kill Donatello. I think Jotaro would die. Hermes and Anasui, I would probably just kill both of them off. Realistically, I think Anasui would do something similar to how he does in the canon, where he would be able to save a lot of the characters with Diver Down, and then once Donatello realizes that, he'd probably decide to kill Anasui off. Probably first, so I still think Anasui dies, and I don't think there's any way to save him. Hermes, I still think is gonna die. You could keep her alive if you want. I hate Hermes personally, so I'm just gonna kill her off. And then Emporio and Jolene would live. If anything, I'm pretty sure they can use the Weather Report stand disc to defeat Donatello. Jolene could die. Maybe she can pull a Jonathan here, if you want to go that route. I don't think the universe is going to reset or anything in this timeline, because that realistically just doesn't fit with Donatello's goals. I don't really remember him having any motivation to want to reset the universe. But I do get the feeling that this would be how the story goes. I think Donatello would get something similar to the World Over Heaven, but I don't think he'd have the ability to stop time or anything. Probably just the ability to just rewrite fate. Maybe he has Underworld's powers to an extent, so he can still dig up the past to an extent, so he can use that to his advantage. Which I would at least give him somewhat of an advantage. But his stand's kind of, like, versatile, though. It's one of those things where it just depends on the circumstances and the arena he's in. With an arena like Cape Canaveral, where it's an entire space shuttle, he can maybe find something creative. Maybe he can use rockets in his fight, or maybe he can do something interesting. Maybe he can throw them onto the plane that exploded in the 80s, which is a possibility, but I don't know if he'd do that. Donatello would have to play his card smart, but I don't think he's winning at the end. And if we're going a route where he obtains Made in Heaven, I think nothing would really honestly change. To be honest, Donatello is not as smart as Poochie, so I don't really think he would be able to do what Poochie did. I mean, he could do the whole knife thing, like how... I don't know if he'd be smart enough to do the knife thing, though. Like, I think he's smart enough to go for Jotaro first, and then go for Anasui once Anasui protects him. But once Anasui then gets Donut, I'm pretty sure Donatello would legit Donut Anasui, or just hurt Anasui. And then once that happens, Jotaro would just stop time, because I don't think Donatello would be smart enough to do what Poochie did. So it'd probably just lead to Jotaro, Jolene, Hermes, and Emporio living, and then Donatello getting killed. So in this timeline, Anasui's plan could potentially work, if we're going a route where he just obtains Made in Heaven. That, or you can just go for that in general. Personally, I'm just going to kill off Jotaro, Hermes, and Anasui here, and I'm just going to have only Jolene and Emporio live. FF still dies no matter what, and I also think Weather Report probably still dies, in my personal opinion, since I feel like Donatello would kill him off regardless, but that's just my opinion. Whether it's Poochie or Donatello, I still think Weather dies. But that's honestly all I could really say for this what if. and I don't really think it affects the future of the franchise, if we're being honest. But that's it. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Definitely an interesting one to write for sure. But yeah, that's the video today. Thank you. I'll try to see you next week or maybe the week after. Like I said, this whole schedule thing is going to be more interesting. I'm going to be a lot more involved with the channel. But thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.